Chances are, when you think of geography, you may think about memorizing the names and locations of rivers, states, capital cities, international borders, and other facts about places. Yet the field of geography is about so much more. Geographers investigate a wide range of issues, including urban, political, economic, environmental, and cultural dynamics, and the ways in which these phenomena shape, and are shaped by, geographic processes and relationships. Most broadly speaking, geography is the study of places and the relationships between people and their environments. How might thinking geographically help us to understand more about Milwaukee? My name is Ann Bonds. I'm an associate professor of geography and urban studies, and in my short time with you, I'd like to introduce you to a few key conceptual tools used by geographers, especially urban and cultural geographers, to better understand and interpret places. I want to particularly emphasize geographic understandings of place, landscapes in the built environment, and ways of reading and interpreting landscapes, drawing on Milwaukee examples. Many of the images I use in this presentation come from the late geographer Harold Mayer and the maps from the AGS Library, the American Geographic Society Library at UW-M. I speak with you as an urban geographer who is deeply interested in the geographies of race and cities and socio-spatial inequality. In our discussion today, when I talk about places, I'm not simply referring to an objective location on a map. Rather, I'm referring to place as the product of the complex interactions between humans and their environments. Geographers understand places as specific settings with distinctive physical, social, and cultural attributes. Places are dynamic, subject to change over time. Our lives unfold in specific places, neighborhoods, communities, cities, and towns. And these places structure day-to-day routines and people's social and economic lives. Everyday activities and social relations unfold in place, shaping socialization and knowledge and the experiences we gain about the world. Places and our understandings of them also contribute to people's collective memory, and as such, they can become powerful cultural symbols, evocative of meaning. In this sense, we might say that places have the potential to communicate an idea, a value, a feeling. Symbolic places, for example, might include historic landmarks, public memorials, or significant cultural sites, often meant to evoke a particular feeling or a sense of identity. We are currently in the midst of a broader debate about who is memorialized in public spaces through monuments and statues, and what this means for our collective imaginations. These contestations reveal how places communicate ideas and values in ways that we might take for granted. It's important to note that ordinary places can also have special meaning and significance. For example, your childhood home, the park where you met your best friend, a college campus, and so on. The concept of sense of place refers to the feelings evoked among people as a result of the experiences and memories they associate with a place. Emotions about places can be prompted by memories, sounds, and smells. Can you think of a smell or a song that takes you back to a specific place? This layered meaning of place reflects what geographers refer to as the social construction of place, which is the idea that places are produced through social interactions and given different meanings by different groups of people for different purposes. Places are constructed over time, made and remade by their inhabitants. Importantly, places are never neutral. What I mean by this is that places are produced through unequal social relations that are shaped by power and social hierarchies. We might think back again to debates about monuments and statues to emphasize this point. Who is commemorated and memorialized? Whose histories are represented or obscured? We don't all experience places in the same way. People's experience with place are deeply connected to their identities and social location. And what I mean here is their race, their class, their gender, sexuality, nationality, and so on. How does the place where you are from shape your identity? Can you think of a time that you felt out of place, as if you didn't belong? What aspects of your identity might have contributed to these feelings? Just as geographers understand place as socially constructed, as produced through social relations and experienced differently by differently situated groups, we might also consider that representations of places are also socially constructed. For example, when we look at maps, like this one, we might consider them to be neutral representations of space. But in fact, maps are produced by people. They're socially constructed and therefore subject not only to human error and biases, they often reflect dominant ideas and ways of understanding the world. What places or groups of people are represented on maps? What places and people aren't? What are the politics of such absences? Furthermore, dynamics like scale, projection, and symbols on maps might also distort the way we can read and interpret them. Maps are powerful ways to represent space and social groups. In the 1930s, residential security maps, like this one of Milwaukee, often referred to as redlining maps, linked assumptions about race, ethnicity, and class to mortgage lending risk. Neighborhoods of color, multiracial, and working-class neighborhoods were considered high risk or hazardous. They were marked in red or redlined and denied access to lending institutions and capital investments that might have improved housing and economic opportunities for residents. These maps played a powerful role in shaping the racial and class segregation of cities. Geographers think about landscapes as the product of human activities, as material expressions of culture. In this sense, we might argue that landscapes are the outcome of human activities and interactions. They reflect values, practices, and aspirations. Over time, landscapes change, and therefore, like places, we can understand them as layered, representing shifts in culture, social relations, and everyday life. Ordinary or vernacular landscapes, such as the one here, are the everyday landscapes that people produce together through their daily activities. What clues about Milwaukee might we learn through its vernacular landscapes? A glance at the landscape of Milwaukee from Interstate 43, for example, might reveal churches, factories or former factory buildings, bars, breweries, and corner taps. Each of these things tells us something about Milwaukee's historical geographies. In fact, we might argue that we can read landscapes like a text. This allows us to examine various values, beliefs, and messages that might be visible in a landscape. However, once again, it is important to note that people will read and interpret the messages of landscapes differently according to their own social locations. A focus on the built environment is particularly useful when examining urban landscapes. The built environment refers to the human-made structures and environments providing the setting for human activities. The built environment of cities, the roads, parks, buildings, housing, and infrastructures of everyday life, might be considered a living system, one that is made, transformed, and experienced by people. Because of this, the built environment represents a tangible expression of cultural, political, economic, and social forces. There exists a rich tradition in urban scholarship of conceptualizing cities as living laboratories, as sites where key political, economic, and social dynamics unfold, are challenged, and reworked. A key theme with this approach is a concern with the urban spatial structure of the city. And examining this requires focus on urban form and the built environment, including elements like lot size, street layout, and land use and zoning, as we see here, as well as attention to the social dynamics that take place in everyday urban environments. So how might we view Milwaukee as a living laboratory and read its landscapes? We might start with attention to the physical and social form of the city, including, as I noted before, its land use, organization, its layout, and its built environment. What activities take place where? We would also need to observe and better understand urban socialities, or social interactions and linkages, including the dynamics of everyday life, movement and mobilities, interactions, and power relations. Who uses the space and in what ways? How are these activities reflected in the landscape? We would also want our analysis of the landscape to include sensory geographies, including sounds, smells, and any emotions that you might experience in a particular place. Finally, we also need to be very attentive to what might be concealed in the landscape. For example, Milwaukee's historic Third Ward, which has long been a site of commerce, is one that has been redeveloped from its mixed-use industrial warehouse origins to a residential commercial neighborhood known for its restaurants, art studios, and retail. Yet visitors to this neighborhood may not be aware that the area on Buffalo Street between Water and Broadway is the site of the lynching of George Marshall Clark, a young Black man in 1861. This site, as of yet, is unmarked. Yet I'm pleased to note that the Milwaukee County Historical Society recently added this location to their landmark list and will install a plaque informing visitors to the area of the significance of this place. While I'd love to talk more about the urban landscape, at this point I must conclude. I hope this short discussion has provided you with new ways to think about places and landscapes. Thank you very much.